As the movie begins, we see a young man being tortured in a ghoulish room while his face is covered with bandages. 2 tubes are inserted into his nostrils, and a greenish fluid is forced through one of them, resulting in blood flowing out through the other tube. And eventually, the mysterious captor kills the poor man using a large hammer. The scene then shifts to New York City, where we're introduced to Jennifer Tree, a young and aspiring fashion model. During one of her photo shoots, we see an unknown person secretly recording her without her knowledge. The very next day, Jennifer requests a day off from her manager, but her request is denied as she's expected to attend an important event that day. With no other choice, Jennifer feeds her dog Susie and gets ready for the event. Later that evening, Jennifer goes to a club, but she's unknowingly being stalked by a mysterious stranger. The man then slips a drug into her drink, which causes Jennifer to become drowsy and eventually leave the club. After some time, Jennifer wakes up in an unfamiliar room near the edge of a beach. However, she soon realizes that the scenery is just a projection and she's actually trapped in a room. Confused about her situation, Jennifer wanders around and notices that the room is full of her personal belongings, including her clothes and other possessions. She starts to panic, not knowing where she is or how she got there. All of a sudden, a drawer in the room slides open, revealing a cup and a note asking her to take vitamins. This makes Jennifer angry and she smashes the glass and other things in the room. However, a strange gas is then released, causing her to pass out once again. A few hours later, Jennifer wakes up and realizes that her hands and legs are tied while she is lying on a bar. Suddenly, a disturbing video is played for her, showing the psycho killer torturing his previous victims. Fearing for her life, Jennifer pleads and begs her captor for forgiveness, promising to do whatever he wants. As she watches the video in horror, the killer murders another woman by pouring acid on her. Jennifer keeps pleading, but the psychopath opens a shower for her and pours a yellow liquid on her face. In the next scene, Jennifer wakes up again and realizes that her face is bandaged. She carefully removes the bandages and is relieved to see that her face is unharmed, except for a small fake wound on her cheek. Suddenly, the shower turns on and she panics and tries to escape. Then a drawer opens, revealing a magazine with her on the cover and a key to a locker. As she peers inside, Jennifer finds the clothes that she's supposed to wear, but she refuses to put them on, leading the captor to activate high-frequency sound and bright light. In a fit of rage, she rips the clothes apart and hides under the bed. And while she's there, Jennifer finds a nail clipper that she can use as a weapon. After the noise and lights are shut off, Jennifer uses the nail clipper to open the air vent and discover a hidden passage above the ceiling. Without wasting a second, she crawls through the vent and makes a daring escape attempt. There, she discovers a nail belonging to another woman and realizes that someone has been there before her. However, her hopes of escape are short-lived as the captor discovers Jennifer trying to escape and drags her back to the room, where he drugs her once again. After regaining consciousness, Jennifer finds herself bound to a torture chair this time. The psycho kidnapper then pulls out gruesome body parts from the fridge, like eyes, ears, and noses. He then blends them into a disgusting mixture and forces Jennifer to drink it until she passes out again. He eventually takes Jennifer to her cell, but continues to monitor the woman through a camera while also watching her interviews. Later, when Jennifer comes to her senses, she notices a point of light from the opposite end of the room. While trying to locate its origin, she's startled by the presence of someone on the other side staring at her. They communicate by writing messages on the wall behind them. The person introduces himself as Gary and informs Jennifer that he's also being held captive. Even if they are in this sadistic place, both of them are relieved to have found a company in their dire circumstances. However, unknown to them, the psychopath is observing their interactions through the CCTV screen. Later, Jennifer wakes up and notices the captor injecting Gary with a liquid. Then the lights flicker, and a video of Jennifer's interview plays where she confesses her fear of the dark. Suddenly, a drawer is opened, which contains a cup of sand, a matchstick, and a card with a hanged man. But before she can grab them, the captor appears from behind and injects her with a drug. Jennifer regains consciousness to find herself trapped in a glass box filled with sand. She panics and attempts to break the glass, which catches Gary's attention. He then desperately tries to help her, but soon finds a card in his room that says, "Is she even worth it?" However, Gary grabs a metal rod and shatters the glass to rescue her. As they try to escape, they stumble upon a room containing a mutilated corpse, presumably one of the psychopath's victims. Finally, they reach the outside and find a a car, but a sleeping gas is suddenly released, causing them to pass out once again. Afterward, Jennifer wakes up to find herself back in the torture chair. She discovers that her hand is taped to a gun that's pointing directly at her beloved dog, Susie. The captor gives her a choice. She has 30 seconds to choose between her life and Susie's. With no other option, Jennifer eventually pulls the trigger and kills her dog, leaving her completely broken and in tears. Moments later, Jennifer spots Susie whimpering inside a glass pod. Her heart races as she rushes to break the pod, hoping to rescue her beloved pet, only to discover that it's just another sick and twisted prank by the psychopath. A few hours later, Jennifer wakes up in different clothes and talks with Gary, but just as they're chatting, the door between their cells suddenly opens before quickly shutting closed. Jennifer asks Gary why he didn't come to her, and he admits that he wasn't sure if she was real. A drawer opens with a key to the fourth locker, and inside is a black dress and heels for Jennifer to wear. She feels like a helpless puppet as she puts on the black dress and makeup. And when the door between their cells opens again, Jennifer rushes to Gary and they hug each other. Just then, the psychopath shows them more disturbing videos of him torturing a woman. Gary can't bear this any longer, so he grabs a metal rod and smashes the camera to pieces. Suddenly, the lights go out and the atmosphere becomes chaotic. The psychopath enters with a gun and takes Gary away. Behind the TV screen, Jennifer watches Gary being tortured, and she desperately begs for his life. Soon, the captor drags Jennifer to the same room as Gary and ties them up together. After that, they're forced to watch a video of a mother apologizing to her son after sexually abusing him. Shockingly, the son then brutally stabs his mother and takes a photo of her lifeless body. As the video ends, the psychopath reappears, and he's got a new sickening idea. He takes out a pair of pliers and moves towards Jennifer's mouth, planning to pull out her teeth. But Gary, in a moment of heroic courage, yells at him to leave Jennifer alone and come after him instead. The psycho's attention then shifts to Gary, and he snatches him up to start ripping out his teeth, while Jennifer watches in terror. After he's done with his sadistic act, the captor tosses them back into their cell and leaves them alone. Jennifer feels guilty for Gary's suffering, and they both get intimate with each other that night. Meanwhile, their captor observes them from afar, but doesn't take any action. Later, the captor heads upstairs to freshen up in the bathroom. Around the same time, Gary wakes up and tries to wake up Jennifer, but he realizes that the woman has been drugged again. He then uses a card to open a secret door in the mirror, leading him to a room upstairs. There, Gary watches the video of the son killing his mother once again, and it's revealed that he is the abused son from the video. Afterward, Gary goes to the washroom to freshen up and is confronted by his brother, Ben, who scolds him for breaking the camera. It's then revealed that both brothers are psychopaths who are taking revenge on other women for the abuse they suffered at the hands of their mother during childhood. Now, as they prepare for dinner, Gary reveals to Ben that he wants to end their twisted game and confesses that he's fallen for Jennifer. But as soon as he hears this, Ben slaps him hard and warns him of the danger of developing feelings for their victims. He dismisses Gary's emotions and orders him to proceed with a plan to kill Jennifer tonight. This leads to a heated argument, and in a fit of rage, Gary stabs Ben before hiding his lifeless body in the bathroom. Later, Gary's seen reviewing a series of pictures in an album, and there's a knock at the door. Worried, he quickly hides the album in a nearby cabinet, but doesn't close it properly. It turns out that the two local detectives are visiting the house looking for Ben. The cops tell him that they're interrogating people who work with Dexter Catering regarding the disappearance of Jennifer. But even with detectives at his doorstep, Gary tries to play it cool and invites them inside. He claims that he doesn't know his brother's business or whereabouts. The cops then ask him if they could watch the big sports game on TV, and Gary reluctantly agrees before leaving to get some food. Later, while they're watching TV, one of the detectives changes the channel and discovers a surveillance video of Jennifer asleep. Realizing that his cover's now blown, Gary reacts violently and ends up shooting both detectives. Next, Gary wakes Jennifer up and informs her that he's killed the kidnappers and it's time to go. The two then go upstairs where Jennifer sees the two bodies of cops and assumes they must be the captors. She insists on calling the cops, but Gary says that the kidnappers must have taped their intimate video, so he must destroy them first. After that, he goes downstairs and cuts all the phone wires. Meanwhile, one of the detectives who has survived the gunshot wound approaches Jennifer, but she mistakes him for her captor and kills him with a baseball bat. Just then, Gary shows up and comforts her, saying she did the right thing. Now, Gary leads Jennifer to the living room and instructs her to stay put while he gathers evidence. At that moment, Jennifer uncovers a partially open cabinet containing files on all the kidnappers' victims. As she reviews the files, she comes to the horrifying realization that Gary was involved in all the kidnappings and is, in in fact the perpetrator. Suddenly, Ben, who's still alive, shows up to attack her. Fortunately, Jennifer manages to defend herself by thrusting a knife deeper into Ben, ultimately killing him. Jennifer then hears the detective's pager beep, and she rushes there. As she goes through his belongings, she's shocked to discover that the man is actually a cop. However, before she can do anything, Gary arrives on the scene while filming her, and he insists that Jennifer belongs to him. With no other option, Jennifer reluctantly agrees with them and helps Gary clean up the evidence. But moments later, as she hugs him, she immediately sprays him with pepper spray and manages to run for her life. Jennifer then disables the house's security system by cutting wires and electrical cords, rendering doors, entry codes, and lights useless. She grabs a flashlight and a gun that was used on the detectives, but since she doesn't know how to use it, she fails to cock it. Gary throws her onto a bed, pointing the gun at her face, and explains why it didn't fire. He then fires a shot into the ceiling to scare her. However, Jennifer kicks him in the groin and takes the gun away, this time successfully cocking it. And before the sadist can respond, she thanks him for the lesson and shoots him in the groin. While Gary cries in pain, Jennifer takes a final blow and shoots him in the heart. She then leaves the house like a G, and as the movie ends, we see posters promoting Jennifer's new movie, Dare.